You aren't actually tired all the time because you're busy. You're tired because your breakfast is basically a dessert in disguise. I spent 2 weeks cutting out every single gram of added sugar to see if it would actually change my life or if it was just another internet health trend. Most of us think we don't eat that much sugar. We think, I don't eat candy bars every day and I don't drink 5 sodas an afternoon, so I'm probably fine. That is exactly what I thought before I started this challenge. But the truth is, sugar is hiding in almost everything you touch. For these 14 days, I had to set some very strict ground rules. I wasn't just quitting the obvious stuff like cookies, cakes, and ice cream. I was quitting the hidden stuff. I decided that natural sugars, like the kind you find in a whole apple or a handful of blueberries, were okay. Your body handles those differently because of the fiber, but anything with added sugar on the label was dead to me. To start, I had to do a kitchen sweep. I spent an entire morning looking at every single bottle and jar in my pantry. It was actually kind of scary. I found sugar in my pasta sauce. I found sugar in my salad dressing. I even found sugar in my bread and my healthy peanut butter. Did you know there are over 60 different names for sugar? Companies are really sneaky. They use words like maltodextrin, dextrose, high fructose corn syrup, barley malt, and agave nectar. If it ended in O cinemas, I knew it had to go. By the time I was done, my kitchen looked pretty empty, but my goal was clear. I wanted to see if I could lose weight, fix my skin, and finally stop feeling like I needed a nap at 3 o'clock every single day. I recorded my starting weight, took a few photos of my face to track my skin progress, and braced myself for the worst. The first day wasn't actually that bad. I felt motivated. I had that new project energy where you feel like you can conquer the world. I ate eggs for breakfast, a salad for lunch, and chicken with vegetables for dinner. I felt like a health god. But then, day 2 hit me like a freight train. This is what people call the sugar flu. My head started throbbing around noon. It wasn't just a small headache. It was a deep, dull ache behind my eyes. My body was used to getting a constant hit of glucose, and now that I had cut the supply, it was throwing a literal tantrum. By day 3, I was the most annoyed person on the planet. I had a short fuse for everything. If someone took too long at a green light, I felt like screaming. If my computer took an extra second to load a page, I wanted to throw it out the window. This is because sugar acts like a drug in your brain. It triggers dopamine, which is the feel-good chemical. Without it, my brain didn't know how to be happy. I also started having these intense cravings. I wasn't just hungry, I was specifically hungry for a glazed donut. I could almost smell them. I would be sitting on my couch and suddenly I'd be thinking about the chocolate bars in the checkout lane at the grocery store. Sleep was also a mess during those first 4 days. You would think that being tired would make you sleep better, but my body was restless. I was tossing and turning because my metabolism was trying to figure out how to burn fat for energy instead of just burning the easy sugar I usually fed it. And then there was the afternoon slump. Usually, at 3 p.m., I would grab a coffee with some flavored creamer or a granola bar. Without that sugar spike, I felt like I was walking through mud. I had to drink a lot of water and just tell myself that this feeling was temporary. It's hard to stay committed when your brain is screaming at you to just eat one little piece of chocolate, but I knew I had to push through. Around day 5 or 6, something really strange happened. I woke up and the headache was just gone. It didn't fade away, it was just not there anymore. This was the turning point I was waiting for. My blood sugar was finally starting to stabilize. Instead of the massive spikes and crashes I was used to, my energy felt like a flat line. Not a low line, but a steady, consistent one. I didn't feel like a superhero, but I also didn't feel like I needed a nap. The coolest thing about this phase was my taste buds. I remember eating a plain red bell pepper on day 7. Usually, a pepper is just a vegetable, right? But after a week of no processed sugar, that pepper tasted incredibly sweet. It was like I was eating a piece of fruit. Later that day, I had a couple of strawberries, and they tasted like candy. It's like my tongue had been numb for years because of all the high fructose corn syrup, and now it was finally waking up. I also noticed that my appetite was changing. Usually, I'm the kind of person who wants to snack every 2 hours, but during this middle week, I noticed I wasn't really thinking about food that much. There is a hormone in your body called leptin. Its job is to tell your brain when you are full. Sugar totally messes up that signal, making your brain think you're starving even when you've eaten enough. Once the sugar was out of my system, my leptin started working again. I would eat a meal with protein and healthy fats, like salmon and avocado, and I would actually feel full for 4 or 5 hours. This was a total game changer for me. I wasn't fighting my willpower anymore because I just wasn't that hungry. My digestion also got way better. I didn't feel bloated after meals, and that heavy, gross feeling in my stomach after eating totally disappeared. As I moved into the final days, from day 10 to 14, the results started showing up on the outside. The first thing I noticed in the mirror was my skin. I usually get these little red bumps and some puffiness around my eyes, especially in the morning. By day 12, my skin looked remarkably clear. The inflammation in my face had gone down so much that my jawline actually looked sharper. People say that sugar causes glycation, which basically means it breaks down the collagen in your skin and makes you look older and more tired. Seeing the puffiness vanish was all the proof I needed. Then there was the mental clarity. I used to call it brain fog. It's that feeling where you're trying to work, but your mind feels like it's wrapped in a cloud. You can't focus, you get distracted easily, and you keep checking your phone. By the end of the 2 weeks, that fog had completely lifted. I could sit down and work for 2 hours straight without feeling the need to get up or find a distraction. It felt like someone had cleaned the windshield of my brain. When day 14 finally arrived, it was time for the final weigh-in. I stepped on the scale, and I had lost 6 pounds. Now, I knew some of that was just water weight. When you eat a lot of sugar, your body stores it as glycogen in your muscles, and glycogen holds on to a lot of water. When you stop eating sugar, your body burns that glycogen and releases the water. But even if it was just water, I felt so much lighter. My clothes fit better, and my belt was 1 notch tighter. My joints also felt better. I used to have this weird stiffness in my knees when I woke up in the morning, which I just assumed was because I was getting older. Nope, it was inflammation from the sugar. By the end of the 14 days, I was jumping out of bed without any of that old man creakiness. My heart rate even felt calmer. I checked my resting heart rate on my watch, and it had dropped by about 5 beats per minute. So, what happened when the 14 days were over? I decided to do a little experiment. I went out and bought a regular sweetened latte and a muffin. I wanted to see how my body would react after being clean for 2 weeks. It was a disaster. Within 20 minutes of eating that sugar, I felt a massive rush of energy, but it felt nervous and jittery. My heart started racing. About an hour later, I had the worst sugar hangover of my life. I got a pounding headache. I felt incredibly sleepy, and I became super irritable again. It was a huge wake-up call. I realized that this is how I used to feel every single day, but I was just so used to it that I thought it was normal. This challenge changed my relationship with food forever. I realized the difference between emotional eating and actual hunger. Most of the time when I needed a snack, I wasn't hungry. I was just bored or stressed, and my brain wanted a dopamine hit from sugar. I also realized how much money I was saving. Processed snacks, sodas, and fancy coffee drinks are expensive. By sticking to water, black coffee, and whole foods, I saved a significant amount of money in just 2 weeks. Is it sustainable to never eat sugar again? Probably not for most people. I love a piece of birthday cake as much as anyone else, but I don't need sugar in my bread. I don't need sugar in my salad dressing. I've decided to keep the hidden sugars out of my house for good. I'm sticking with black coffee because now that my taste buds have reset, I actually enjoy the flavor of the beans instead of just the flavor of the syrup. The physical and mental gains I got from this, the clear skin, the steady energy, and the weight loss are worth way more than the 5 seconds of pleasure I get from a candy bar. If you feel like you're constantly tired, if your skin is breaking out, or if you just can't seem to lose those last few pounds, I am telling you right now, try this for 14 days. The first 4 days will suck. You will want to quit. You will be mean to your friends. But if you can make it to day 5, you will see a version of yourself that you didn't even know existed. You aren't lazy, and you aren't just getting old. You're just fueled by the wrong stuff. Cutting the sugar was the hardest and best thing I've done for my health in years. Check out this video over here if you want to see exactly what I ate every day to make this possible.